They say that a constitution can change things, but how? After all, a constitution cannot build a road, school a child, provide drinking water, or heal the sick. Yet constitutions have a profound effect on how well a country functions and, as a result, on the quality of life of its citizens. The state needs a powerful engine to do the things that we need it to do, but that power has to be under control. A good constitution keeps the power of the state under public control. It puts the people in the driver's seat, ensuring that the government represents and is responsible to ordinary citizens. To understand the difference that a good constitution can make, let's look at the fictional country of Ruritania, as it was 10 years ago. Ruritania has many problems. Unemployment is high, opportunities are few, young people are angry, old people live in despair, and it's a mess. There's garbage on the streets. Often there's no electricity. The roads are full of potholes. The schools are overcrowded, and the sick cannot get the care they need. People are not treated with respect. And for minorities, it's even worse if they don't speak the language or practice the religion of the majority. The courts and the administration are corrupt. And if you don't have a connection or the money for a bribe, you'll always be at the back of the line. Why is this so? Well, it's not because Ruritania is poor. It has lots of resources. Those who are in charge, who are well connected and close to power, have plenty of money. They feast while the poor go hungry. They run Ruritania for their own personal benefit, not for the benefit of the people. And at the head of the table sits the president, the old man. He's been in charge as long as anyone can remember. He's got the country exactly where he wants it, in his pocket and under his heel. Elections are a farce. Anyone who dares to speak out ends up in jail. The whole system is broken. So where did it all go wrong? Part of the fault lies with the almost limitless power in the hands of the president and his cronies. His presence overshadows the country. There's no limit on the number of times he can be re-elected, and there are few restraints on what he can do. Under his reign, Parliament has no real power, and the courts have limited independence. There's nothing stopping the president from appointing his brother as head of the army, or his cousins and nephews as ambassadors and judges, or handing out state contracts to his friends. The Constitution is too weak to protect the people. It provides no real constraints on the president's abuse of power. Instead of empowering the people, the Constitution suppresses them. The state has become their master instead of being their servant. But fortunately, that's not how the story ended. 5 years ago, the people of Ruritania rose up when they heard that the president was planning to install his son in his place. They knew that their hopes for dignity, justice, equality, and rights would not be realized by simply replacing one dictator with another. They needed to change the rules, so they wrote a new constitution, the foundation upon which a democratic Ruritania would be built. Despite their differences, many groups from across society came together to identify 5 common goals for constitutional change. The most important thing was to reduce the president's excessive power, so they limited his powers in relation to Parliament and the courts, and his ability to make appointments. They introduced term limits so that in the future, a president can only serve 2 terms before someone else must replace him. Another urgent need was to empower people to participate in the political process. So the Constitution allowed the free formation of political parties to give them real choices in future elections. It also created an independent electoral commission to ensure that future elections would be free and fair. Thirdly, they sought to ensure the independence of the judiciary and the due process of law in order to strengthen human rights. This would enable the people to express their views without fear and bring to an end the injustices of the past. The fourth need was to give all citizens a seat at the table. Religious and ethnic minorities, women, and others who were previously excluded were able to insist on new constitutional rules that would protect their rights and ensure their representation in Parliament. Lastly, they agreed that rural areas and the provinces had been ignored, so the new constitution decentralized power, giving local communities more say in their own affairs. Ruritania still isn't perfect, but now the population no longer lives in silence and fear. Increased opportunities for democratic participation enable people to decide what matters to them and their communities. Open competition for political office means that the government must respond to public demands for education, healthcare, and decent roads. If those in power don't listen, or if they don't deliver, they can be voted out. Thanks to the new constitution, the people now have the tools they need to build themselves a brighter future.